Hi, everyone. It's Kalika Yap, host of the entrepreneurs organization Wonder Podcast, where we talk to incredible entrepreneurs, founders, change makers, and everyday visionaries who are doing remarkable things. Today's guest is someone whose story moved me deeply. Julie Smolyansky became the youngest female CEO of a publicly traded company at just 27 years old. And this happened after the sudden passing of her father, the founder of Lifeway Foods. She stepped into leadership at a time of shock and grief and turned that moment into something powerful. Since then, she's taken Lifeway from a $6 million family business to a nearly $300 million global wellness brand while staying deeply committed to health and community. Julie's been featured on Fortune's 40 Under 40, named one of Fortune's 55 most influential women on Twitter, honored as a champion of wellness, and even recognized as one of the best Instagrammers to follow. She's a storyteller, an activist, a mom, a CEO, and a woman who's never afraid to stand up for what she believes in. Julie, I'm so honored to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start at the beginning. It was 2002. You were just 27 when you became CEO after the sudden loss of your father. What helped you gather the strength and clarity to lead Lifeway in that moment?
Thank you. That's a great question. I always reflect on my family's own journey, my parents' own journey, my father's and my mother's. We were refugees from the former Soviet Union. I was one when we settled in Chicago with no money. We literally came with $116 in our pocket, no language. My mother learned English watching General Hospital. They escaped and ran from their home, and it was during the height of the Cold War, so there was no internet. They didn't have phones. They didn't have access to the outside world, and they didn't know what was behind that Iron Curtain. And so it's a big risk, and they didn't know anything like what was going to happen. There were no previous immigrants or anything to kind of send, message back. So they really were in the dark and they risked everything. And so, my own great grandparents were, survivors of the Holocaust and also overcame great obstacles. And so, these kind of stories are in my DNA, and the stories of survival, of overcoming tremendous obstacle, of crisis. And so that in that moment when my dad passed away, that was really kind of front and center for me, that I come from this legacy and line, and it's my obligation to survive and to thrive. And I kept repeating, failure is not an option. And that was a mantra for me. And I was also running on pure adrenaline for 4 years. And I think, my father's message to me over the course of my life, he pushed education on me. He, always made sure I was reading and took me to museums and, told me specifically that I could accomplish anything in my life that I want. And he made that very clear. He said, Julie, you could do anything but be the president of the United States only because you were not born in America. But other than that, the world is your oyster. And, those kind of messages were really important. And I've really learned that it just takes one person to believe in you, to, have the most crazy optimistic belief in you, and that's enough to fortify your own personal mindset. And he also pointed out strong female role models for me, which was very rare at that time. This was, I was born in 1975, we came in 76, and so I'm talking the 80s, 90s, and, really the 80s and 90s were the formative years when he was able to kind of impose these positive messages and role models for me. And there really weren't that many. There were just a handful. And whenever there were, he made sure to say, and I don't know how he knew that, pointing out a strong male, while that's great too, that that doesn't resonate as much as a strong female does. And so I think those are the key reasons why I had faith in myself. I knew that he wanted me in that role. I knew that he was grooming me for that. I knew that he had endless optimism in in that he told me, he told others. So that's really, I think, how, but it's a long journey and a long road. And, he taught me lots of great lessons. Yeah.
I also heard that I think it was your lawyer that wanted to take over the company.
Yeah. Yeah. In that moment, when he passed, when my dad passed, all the friends come gather at the house and at the surviving family's home and to help the family grieve. But in this moment, my dad's best friend was standing a few feet away from me. He said, that's it. The company's over. Sell all of your stock. And it was devastating to me that he didn't, that basically I felt like the messages were nobody really believed in me. So that was that. The next day I'm with, looking for the cemetery plot, and my board member called me, and one of my board members called, and he was like, hi, like, so-and-so, his name, wants to have like an emergency board meeting, and he wants us to vote him in as the CEO. And I was like, what? Like, that's not what my father wanted. That's not what my father messaged to me or to the board or to any. So yeah. And I believe like that lawyer would have attempted to, so just before I jump into that, we all ended up calling a meeting before his intended meeting. The board voted, and they voted me in as CEO. And so here we are. But I think that he was intending to basically just try to make a deal to sell the whole company. And that would have been for pennies. At the time, our business was, 12 million. We reported that year, 12 million in 2002, but this was June, in the middle of the year prior, I think we did 10 million. So we were like, $10-12 million company. Today we're a $200 million company. And our valuation is significantly higher. We've split our company twice, but like, let's say to get the time at the same value, it would have been like $1, and today we're like 27. So 25, 27. So, the shareholder return has been phenomenal. But yeah, I think time and time again, I've been underestimated. I've been told that I can't. I've been swimming in a sea of sharks. And I think it's great to be underestimated, because nobody sees me attempting to, thinking that I would fight back. And I have been fighting back from day one. And that's what my father taught me. He told me, he used to he was great at like psychological games, but or reverse psychology, I guess. He would like trigger me and get me really angry and upset, and then he'd tell me to like punch his hand, and then he would be like, and he'd start laughing because I'd be like crying, and be like, punch my hand. And he said he'd start laughing and say, you don't know what I'm teaching you, but one day you'll learn. You'll figure it out one day. But this world is really hard, especially for a young woman, and you're gonna be punched, and you're gonna have to know how to punch back. And I'll never forget it. As much as I hated him in that time, I was like, you're cruel. What are you doing? This isn't, and maybe like it's not in par with like today's parenting, but it is what it is, and it worked in the way that it did for me, for us.
Yeah, and you fought back, and now
Yeah.
look where you are.
And I'm still fighting back. That hasn't changed. I mean, literally every day, like I'm defending a hostile takeover today. I was, like every day, basically.
Right.
Like I have a lot. Yeah, I have, lots of people around, and it's a sea of sharks, and everyone's like trying to take a piece of it. And the more success that we get, the more that we prove ourselves, the more somebody wants to take it away and take it for themselves and steal it too, not just, fairly make deals, but steal it. And so And I can tell you so many stories like that. There was like real estate deals, the same thing, like lawyers calling like, "Oh, honey, like let me take this off your plate," like, and gave me some like lowball offer, and I'd be like, "I know what the value is. My father told me what the value. I have, competitive bids." And it went to court, and ultimately I won, and I win every time. And it is, I think, because we're underestimated, and that's a secret power. It's a secret sauce.
So not only did you keep the business going, but you also scaled it. Lifeway is now a global leader. And I think that it was your dad who said that you would grow the brand into a global leader, right?
Yes, he
Yeah.
told me that. He said, My Julie's gonna put my kefir into every store, every shelf, yeah, every refrigerator." And I love like his never-ending optimism in me.
So what are some of those early decisions that you made which laid the foundation for this exponential growth?
Yeah, a couple things. First, we like updated our labels. That had been long on our list, but we really modernized it. We went from like a little sticker label to a full body sleeve wrap, which gave us a lot more options for graphic design and messaging and storytelling, et cetera, et cetera. So it really like took it to the next level, and you could see that jump quickly. We innovated, lots of we rolled out a series of other new products. We were early adapters to social media. That's one
Mhm.
of the things that really also made us stood out. And I think, again, being a young leader, I
Mhm.
was 27, and my peer group was doing this. Other CEOs who were 30, 40 years older than me thought I was crazy. They didn't understand Twitter. They didn't before Twitter. I mean, I put us on MySpace. So we have characters, like probiotic characters for our ProBugs, our children's line. We put those on MySpace so that we really humanized them. We gave them characteristics. We told stories. We created an organic community, like authentic organic community. So yeah, we were on MySpace. We were first on Twitter. We were the fifth company on Twitter. We were one of the first on Facebook. And it was my insight into like, there is this, kefir survived. First of all, we didn't even talk about kefir, but kefir is um, a probiotic yogurt-like drink. And my dad, in Eastern Europe and Slavic communities, it's a staple that people have consumed from cradle to grave. And there's lots of storytelling around it. And it's a recipe that was passed down from babushka to babushka, which is grandmother to grandmother. And, it was shared in these villages and in these families. And there was it survived through storytelling, through community, through people gathering and saying, "Oh, I feel like this," or "I feel like that," drink this, you'll feel better. Like it was the solution to every ail back in the day. And these people lived past 100 years of age, and they attributed their longevity to their consumption of kefir. This was in the Caucasus Mountains, so Russia, Ukraine, like that region. And it wasn't until 1908, just a little over 100 years ago, when Dr. Elie Metchnikoff, who's the father of immunity, he did the first round of research on kefir, on probiotics, on the impact of fermented dairy on the whole body. And so since that time, hundreds of research studies, thousands, millions of research studies on kefir, microbiome, friendly bacteria, fermented dairy, all of these things have been studied, not just for digestion and immunity, but also now for mental health. We are learning that kefir helps reduce stress, depression, and anxiety, that through the mind gut axis. We've learned that there's a skin gut axis. So you want glowing, beautiful, acne-free skin. There is a skin gut axis that kefir helps. It's helpful in if you're on antibiotics, which wipe out your entire microflora. It helps your body restore that microflora and rebalance and repopulate your gut with the friendly bacteria that it needs. When you take an antibiotic, it wipes out your friendly microbiome from 6 months to 2 years. And most of the disease that we have at all is through dysbiosis, an imbalance of gut bacteria, friendly gut bacteria. That causes inflammation, and that leads to all sorts of other ails. The list is so long, but autoimmune diseases, allergies, cardiovascular, diabetes, like all these things. These are like lifestyle things and mostly preventable. Through lifestyle choices like drinking Lifeway Kefir. But so, all of these messages were really important. So we were able to start talking about that in an organic way. And really, it was important to me the way that word of mouth kept, Kefir alive for 2,000 years. The same thing now with social media, adding that, it's like a fire to the, fuel for the fire. And so I started building these, communities on social media, not just me anymore. Now it's a huge team, but, I remember 2:00 at night, just like creating a name for us, et cetera, et cetera. I was the one that was tweeting, there was no such thing even as like a social media manager yet. I didn't even know what to call it. I remember going on my personal Facebook page and like posting, I'm looking to hire somebody to post Facebook messages. People thought I was crazy. They were like, you're going to pay somebody to post? Now, of course, we have community managers and social media, like the exponential growth. But that put us to the point where Vogue magazine wrote a story about us, and they said Lifeway's early use of social media created an avant-garde status and a cult-like following. And so those were some of those ways, and we've just exponentially grown that. And yeah, now of course TikTok, we every time I think, oh, we've made it, we blow up in a new way. A new influencer, a new generation, a new somebody unlocks a whole new community. So right now we just had like Bethany Frankel post a bunch about us. She fell in love with our products, like on TikTok, on Instagram. We have young people on TikTok posting about like this de-bloat path that they're interested in, like, and always Lifeway has always been a morning kind of breakfast day part usage, but now these girls, and I'm even surprised, these most, a lot of young women drinking it in the evening before bedtime for a flat belly de-bloat kind of effect, and they're loving it. And I'm every day I go and like check it out, and I'm blown away by the content they're creating and their passion for the Lifeway brand. It's really exciting to see.
And so you're really helping everyone with their gut health.
Yes, yes.
But also I'm hearing that you've also trusted your gut.
Yes.
A lot of intuition. Did
Yes.
Kefir help you with your gut instinct?
Yes. I think again, like we are a gut health company, and I was thrown into this role in a crisis, in extreme mourning myself. I did not have a Harvard degree. I actually never took a business class. So, what I had was my authentic origin story, all the lessons my father taught me. I grew up in the business. I was 11 years old when he made the very first batch of Lifeway Kefir, and I tried it in the basement. He would go down and disappear, and there'd be like fermenting batches, pots of milk. And I tried it the first time. I went to my first trade show when I was 11, 12 years old. I worked the trade show floors always. So I learned, the business. I learned how to sell it. I learned the benefits. But yeah, I did my first demo when I was a kid. I used to deliver product with my dad at midnight to the stores. So I think, that those were the things I had going for me, and my gut intuition, because of all of that, experience. So even though I was really young, I just continued to follow my gut, and it continued to point me to the right direction. I read a book called, The Alchemist. It's a popular book. Everyone has basically read it, but it really stuck to me, this idea of like following your North Star, following your gut, following your purpose, and that like the universe rises to help you, when you have a vision, a path, a desire, the universe will rise for it. And, I really believe in like manifesting and, articulating, saying out loud what I want and how I want it. And it always happens. Like, I think, positive mindset, be optimistic. And I also think that like things that feel like failures or look like failures oftentimes are small winks to point you like, this isn't where you need to go. This something better is over there, or this wasn't quite right, tweak it and something better will come. Like, I just always, when something feels devastating in the business, in hindsight, I always look back and say, oh, thank God that didn't work out, because all of this other thing, we got all this other stuff, or other things happened, or relationship, whatever it is. And so I think it is a lot about mindset, it's how you look at it. And yeah, that it's worked out that way for me. But I think I also tune in to my intuition. If you're not tuned in, then you won't even have that. But like, I really take the time to find the moments for my gut to talk back to me. And then you have to listen too, because you can get the message, but second guess yourself or be convinced by others to not do what your gut tells you. And that's where it really takes your personal strength to say, okay, I don't care if 10 other people are disagreeing with me. My gut is telling me this. And sometimes you have to be brave and courageous and say, I'm sorry that you don't agree, but we're going to go like this and we're going to do this. And maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Most of the time I've been right. And all the times that I second guess myself or let somebody else make the decision, it never works out. So trust your gut, be strong, be brave, follow your gut. Also, I mean, it does have to be backed up by data. You can't, it can't just be like crazy. Like a lot of times things bubble up for me to see it is because it is an emerging trend or emerging, thing, or something is coming up that keeps sending me a message that I can see, that I can tune into and say, okay, let me dig further into this. Like maybe it's a flavor, let me see, is this an emerging flavor? What's the data on this particular flavor? And like more often than not, there is data behind my gut intuition. So it's kind of like leads me.
So you can see patterns.
I do. I have like an ability that's like one of my secret traits, superpower traits.
Amazing. So as Lifeway has continued to grow in this global brand, you've also stayed rooted in your purpose. How do you keep the company aligned with your core values, even as it's so huge?
Yeah, thank you. We're now the number one brand in Mexico. We're in Caribbean, we're in South Africa, we're in UAE, Dubai, we're in parts of Europe, parts of Southeast Asia. So yeah, we are really kind of developing a global footprint. We dominate 95% of the kefir category in America, but we are really like the global category leader, the kind of OG, the brand that commercialized it. My dad brought this ancient secret recipe with him across the ocean into the US, the largest marketplace, and just has been passionately, and myself included, like sharing the messages and the benefits of it. And I think it goes back to the health and the science. And when it's really easy to bring and build about a strong culture, a strong loyal set of team members who want to be a part of it because they know that they're selling something that is healing people's bodies, that really is bringing health and wellness to people, people who are on chemo. I can't tell you how many stories we've heard over the 4 decades now, almost 40 years that we've been in existence, of people calling and saying, I have a family member who was on chemo and the only thing they can tolerate was your Lifeway Kefir. That is worth everything, because in this moment of crisis where they have a hard time getting their nutrition, we can bring somebody some peace, some comfort, some positive nutrition, protein, calcium, bioavailable protein, not just protein out of a powder, but high quality bioavailable protein, and nourish their gut and really, work towards healing their body. That's everything. Folks with irritable bowel syndrome, folks with Crohn's disease, all of these conditions have been helped by our Lifeway Kefir. And that's powerful. We've been able to help people not have to have surgery and have their intestines removed. We've helped people get off of all sorts of medications with, lots of risks with any kind of medication. And you have to weigh out positives and benefits and risks to any med. And so we've been able to, really help people in that way. And I think that is a powerful way to get other people to say, I want to work at Lifeway. Not only do I want to work at Lifeway, I want this to be part of my life. Like Lifeway is a part of our lives. And every day is Lifeway Day. And, we just celebrated National Kefir Day a couple of weeks ago. But, I say it's funny because every day is National Kefir Day for me and for everyone at Lifeway. But, it makes it a lot easier to work hard to make it like, it's not just a career, it's a life, it's not just a job, it's a family. And, to survive for the 4 decades that we did, most companies don't make it past year 2. I think, everyone's passion, their loyalty, their hard work, their ethics, they want to see the, company thrive. They want to also bring this to other people, and we're all part of a team. We have like 300 people that work for us, over 500 when you include like agencies and lawyers, et cetera, and it's like extended team members, and it's very, very powerful. I've had many people come to me and tell me, they work for national multi-conglomerate and they hate it. They're just a number. They don't feel like anybody, they're part of a real thing. Nobody cares if they show up or not. They can kind of ghost their way through their, existence, especially these days with remote. And, they don't feel like there's, that same sense of family. And I think a great example that I really felt it was when lockdown happened and the pandemic happened. We are manufacturers of a food system. We're part of the food system. We're it's part of national security. And that was a really hard time because while a lot of people were able to go remote, my team, my plant staff, production operations folks had to be there, and we would show up every day. We didn't know early days what it was about. Are we going to live or are we going to die? It was apocalypse. And we showed up like crying and afraid, but everybody showed up, and nobody, I gave like this rallying speech. I said, this is our opportunity to be heroes. We always want to be superheroes. This is our chance. We're the first responders here. We're on the front line, and, people around the world are relying on us to show up and to make product and to get it on the shelves because, we saw how fragile it was. In 3 days, shelves were empty. And so, it was really important. And I said, let's make as much product as we could. Another moment of intuition. I made 3 months of product in 2 weeks. We pumped out, we worked overtime. And I thought to myself, at least if we all get sick, at least we'll have finished product that like I could call my governor and have the National Guard come in and like distribute. So, we made those kinds of decisions, but we didn't even have to get to that. Like, luckily, we also got information early about masking. So I made sure that we were masking a month before. And I really think that saved lives for us and made sure like we had significant less sickness than other companies. I took that very seriously. We got air filters. Like, we really invested in our team, and the team saw that, and they're so grateful for that. They're so, so grateful. And so it's like a symbiotic relationship. They see how much we value, I value, appreciate them, and grateful for them. And that respect is really mutual. So super grateful for that. But that's how, on the days when like the Amazons of the world or whatever company, the bigger companies are able to give more money than maybe we could. And people say, it's not about a paycheck. It's a different, this is family. Like, I don't care if I get $2 more somewhere else. I'd rather be here. And, in these days, we've been able to luckily increase everyone's, salaries, because that is, of course, and benefits and like all of those things are really important. So I'm proud.
Yeah, you're such a kind and compassionate leader. That's probably why you've received so many awards.
Oh,
Fortune
thank you.
40 under 40, a Gold Stevie, a Globie. What do these awards or these recognitions mean for you, not just personally, but as a woman leader in business?
Thank you. Well, it's really not, you don't do these things to think that you're going to get awards. I certainly like don't do that. Don't do anything for an award. It's really, really sweet. It's so humbling. It's such a privilege to be recognized for that hard work and validated. It is nice. It feels very nice. And I hope that mostly, first of all, and I share it with everyone that works with me. It's not just about me, but I couldn't do it without the incredible team and all the support people around me. And so I share all of those recognitions with everybody. And I also think, when you think about legacy and character, it's not something that you do once and that you check a box, but it's really like the day-to-day actions that you take that kind of build up a whole story. It's a little tile on a mosaic every day that encompasses the whole of your life. And that really means a lot to me. And I think, I have overcome so much and really, could have been just a statistic, really wasn't expected to make it here. And I mean, in like a really existential way. And here I am. And I think, I also hope to, for maybe others, especially young people who are struggling or finding it hard to find their way and like don't know, or feel like they have lots of obstacles ahead, in their lives and they can't do it. And I just hope that like people do look at me and think, well, if she could do it, then I could do it. Those are the things that I hope to leave behind. And I really I don't want to waste my pain. I want my pain to be for purpose. And I have like come from, a communist Soviet country, Cold War, as a refugee, with, relatives who had overcome the greatest atrocities in history of the world. And to be, standing here in this place, it's like, it's inspiring to me, even to just, I can't believe it. I can't believe that I'm like here, it's like talking to you even. So that's what's really nice to me. And it's really meaningful. So yeah.
And you've also done, besides running your publicly traded company, you've done incredible work in the fight against sexual assault and violence from co-founding Test 400,000. Is Test 400K?
400,000. Yeah, Test 400K. That's right. Yeah.
Test 400K to working with Obama's White House. What sparked your drive to do this work?
Yeah, well, largely, I mean, I, like most women, have experienced my own, various abuse and violence. And so that's always kind of been in like the background of in my head. And it wasn't just me, I saw most of my friends also experiencing almost exactly what I was experiencing. And of course, like post Me Too, like now we know, we saw those disclosures at like endless every second happening publicly. So we know that we're not alone, but I think that's just like, I always knew, like, I know I'm not the only one, and that, there will be other young women and girls and kids, boys too, will, experience, trauma and abuse, et cetera. And like, again, I don't want to waste my pain, and I want to, use it for purpose. And like, as cliche as it sounds, like change the world, help people. And I think that's probably why I gravitated towards my dad's, company when I figured out how Lifeway really does help people and is a tool in that self-care toolbox. It's just one of many tools. And so I think that has worked really, that's been really important for me as I move forward in my day to day. And I want to share that with other people so that they know, like, yes, even like horrific, horrible things can happen in our lives. And so many things happen. Like, you don't get through this life without some battle scars. But that doesn't have to define you, and you can move forward. And the way you move forward is by caring for yourself and having the tools, making sure, you rest yourself and talk to yourself positively, and, nourish yourself and move your body, and, get a little sweat going every day. Like, all of those things are within our control. So we don't always have control over what happens to us, but we do have control over how we respond. And I think that's really important. But yeah, I've been in the space of like, kind of, trying to end violence against women since I was a kid. I was 14 years old, I think, when I volunteered at the local YMCA, the Evanston Shelter for Battered Women and Children. I helped write the first teen dating violence curriculum in the city of Chicago. And then I taught that curriculum. And then I went on to do like lots of work in this space, always an activist. And that eventually led me to producing some movies and documentaries, which I think you mentioned. I was part of an epic film called The Hunting Ground, and Lady Gaga wrote the song for it. And then I was invited with 50 other survivors to join on stage and kind of come out with my own story. And that was very powerful. And 10 months later, the Me Too movement happened. And I really firmly believe that film, that performance at the Oscars in 2016 was a domino effect for the Me Too movement. And we saw, all these celebrities, A-list celebrities, disclosing their own experiences after that performance. So I'm really proud that, I've been in this movement for so long and have been so frustrated, and then, never really seeing any changes. Like, I think about, in a corporate world, we talk about goals and how we're going to get there and measuring and have a strategy. There's never been a strategy for ending sexual assault or violence against women. There's no goals, there's no strategies. It's just they throw statistics out, and then like, this is the statistic, but how are we going to change it? Well, I found a lot of ways that we can change it. One of the ways, and you talk about Test 400K, is the fact that I learned that less than 2% of evidence, they're called rape kits, evidence that's collected at the hospital when a survivor comes forward, less than 2% are ever analyzed. I was like, this is a scandal. Like, what is going on? This is easy. Like, you should test this. The DNA is there. We have a system. We can do it immediately. You can do it on site. But my sheriff in Cook County in Chicago, he found 50 rape kits that sat in a storage locker in Robbins, Illinois, that went back to 1979. And those kits had DNA that were on other rape kits. So this is like something that we actually do have in our control, that we could actually make our community safer, that I think everyone's aligned on. And I think, we started the organization to bring attention to it, to help, and we did. We put out a call to action. We had governors sign the call to action. We enacted rape kit reform in just about every state. We led the rape kit reform, and so I'm really proud of some of that work. And when my daughters were born, I have almost 17-year-old and almost 15-year-old. And when they were born, I made a promise that I was going to do more. Like, it wasn't enough to just be involved and work in this, but like really do more in a significant way. That, like, what's the point of all the privilege and power and influence if you're not going to really use it in a meaningful way? And again, it's a lot of bravery to talk about it because it was taboo. No one talked about it. And so I think that's just, you gotta bring it into the light. Like, these kinds of things thrive in darkness and secrecy. And when you bring it to light and bring attention on it, that's, I think, when powerful change can happen and impact. So that's how that works. But yeah, I think, like, going back to kind of what's the secret of our success, I think part of it is like the community building that we do, whether that's me directly or like not just in this issue, but like food scarcity. Again, going back to the pandemic, we right away started making extra product for food pantries that we would be able to deliver to healthcare workers to help their immune system. When the California fires broke out, my team we have events all over the country, but specifically in Los Angeles, those events were obviously canceled. We took all the samples and turned them into donations for first responders, for people who lost homes and needed nourishment. So I think that's another thing that, like, my team appreciates and is so loves being a part of that kind of community building. So it's it kind of all works together in this like really positive um relationship with our communities that we work in.
So it's both storytelling through film, books, speaking, and community that's helped this movement go forward.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really cool. And it takes time, it's every day. It's a lot of work, and people don't see all the hard work behind the scenes, but there's a lot of hard work and an incredible team.
Yeah. And yeah, we saw your daughter walk behind you.
Yes.
So how has motherhood shaped how you lead?
Yeah, I mean, that's another great one because I think about the ingredients that we use every day, how we source those ingredients, the messaging that we put out into the world, what that looks like from, a girl's perspective or young person's perspective. I think even like the innovation for Pro Bugs, which is our kids line, it was it was innovated before I had my own daughters, but when I saw my friends with their kids and I saw how they were like the challenges they had around feeding and time and hacking it. So I was like, I want to innovate a product that could save parents, 15 minutes of feeding time. And so I embarked on finding a new delivery method, and I thought pouches with like like a sipping component. So we were the first company to launch a pouch product for the country. So we really disrupted that baby feeding space. Now over 50% of baby food is consumed out of a pouch, for good or for bad. But we really, started that movement. And yeah, I mean, I think it is around the relationships with like families, moms and dads, and like we all want to feed our kids the best, whatever we might sacrifice for ourselves, but we want our kids to get the best. And some of those messages I think became much more crystal clear for me as a mom. But also like understanding like flexibility and you know work life balance, even though I don't have the best work life balance, at least not right now. There have been times when I've had a little bit more of it, but I think that's something that people also appreciate. Like I don't even think twice if somebody's like, I have to go pick up my child from preschool, like you don't even have to tell me, just you go, like do what you need to do, take care of your family. I know like everyone works really hard, but like those kinds of things I think make it more convenient for my team, who are also parents, and most of us are parents, working parents. So, and I think it means like it's not just for women, it's for men too. Like dads also need to be good parents. Like they need the equal amount of flexibility that we need, because I think it's really important that both parents are partaking and being, modeling for the next generation. Like we all have a role in that. So I think like it takes a village, and I'm part of that village, and others are part of my village. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned balance, and you said that do you have any wellness or mindfulness practices that help you keep yourself grounded?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would like a little bit more balance. That'll be on the plan in the future, but right now kind of a lot going on. But the things that do work for me, I definitely work out every day. There's like an hour of some sort of workout. I love SoulCycle, but walking is great. Yoga, like there's something every day. There's never a day that gets skipped. That's like, it's a non-negotiable. I make sure that that's built into all the time. Even if I'm traveling, like there has to be an hour of workout time. Doesn't have to be, crazy sweat, like intense, like SoulCycle, but it could be an hour walk. That's important. Or 20 minutes. I mean, whatever you can manage to squeeze in. Reading is so super for me. It's like the one time that my brain is not like multitasking. You kind of can't multitask. Although I have found a way to walk and read now, that's a new thing. And I've seen people do it. I saw this older woman walking and reading on the beach. I was like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Because sometimes I'm like, I have 1 hour. Do I walk or do I read? Although audibles are great for that too. But yeah, reading is like, it brings me so much joy. I try to go for like a book a week. I aim for, I love reading so much. That's definitely part of my self-care. And then like healthy eating, obviously I drink Lifeway Kefir every night, every day, every morning, whatever. That's very, very important to me also. But those, a mindfulness practice, having some like time to be, down and with yourself, quiet. My kids bring me a lot of joy, but they're teenagers, so it's kind of hard to get them nailed down to be in the same room with me for very long. But when I can, like, that brings me so much joy, and that's definitely self-care for me. Being in community, being it could be easy to just like put your head down, isolate and work, but making sure that like every now and then I kind of get out and with my friends and stuff. And I love like music and concerts, and even if I go see a concert by myself, which is less stressful than having to plan with other people and like coordinate tickets and this and that. Like sometimes I'm just gonna like go to a concert by myself, like spontaneously find tickets and like listen to music and dance alone, which is great.
Sounds amazing. What are you reading now?
Right now, I'm actually reading Tender is the Night by Scott Fitzgerald. Long been on my list, and it looked kind of fun. If you haven't read it, it's old and a classic, but set in the French Riviera, which feels like perfect for summer. And then Atmosphere, which is the new Taylor Jenkins Reid novel about a female astronaut, and Gabrielle, which is by a French author. And so I got those 3 books kind of in the hopper right now.
Nice. That sounds beautiful. But no nonfiction. So primarily
Not right now. Not right now. But I did just finish a couple other nonfictions. I just finished a actually great book called The South Side, which is older, about Chicago, but kind of talks about the history of Chicago, segregation, the political scene. It was like interesting, and I was kind of like there was a great chapter on the food deserts in Chicago, but it's kind of an example not just for Chicago, but like all urban settings. So that was really great. And I really love the Alexei Navalny memoir. Oh, I love memoirs. I absolutely love memoirs. He did a great job. And I really like also was one of those times where I was like, I wish my dad was alive because I would love to talk about that book with him, because obviously like Navalny was like fighting all the things that, my dad would have fought for too, and like joined on that effort, and believed in democratic values, et cetera, et cetera. And that was just a really great book to read too. So how about yourself? Are you reading anything?
Oh, well, right now, Emperor of Gladness.
Okay.
Yeah, Ocean Vuong. But I also love nonfiction. The Alter Ego, How Secret Identities Can Help You Succeed. One of
Nice.
our other podcast guests, the founder of Uggs, told me to read that. So I'm just like, it's like the best book. So
Okay,
yeah.
I'll have to put it on my list.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Cool.
So what's one piece of advice that you wish you had when you first became CEO?
Just like believe in yourself, like, put fear out of your head, don't be afraid. Know that everything is going to be okay. It's all going to work out. Being stressed and anxious about it isn't going to change it. It's unnecessary energy. Love yourself more than anyone else is going to love you. You're your best friend. And follow your gut. I mean, those are all the things that trust your gut, follow your gut, nurture your gut, love your gut, all of those things. Yeah.
And what's something that's lighting you up right now, bringing you joy?
Well, I am excited. We just most recently, I think I mentioned, we celebrated National Kefir Day, and that was something that's been on my list for a long, long time. I'm looking forward to scaling that over the coming years. I'm really proud that we kind of led that effort. we also had this beautiful drone show, 10-15 minute drone show over the city of Chicago. It was phenomenal over Navy Pier. It was just so spectacular. It felt like such a moment, a cultural moment in time that we were able to do something like this. And I'm looking forward to bringing that drone show to other cities to celebrate, maybe, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, like different moments where that could happen. We're also really excited. We have a NASCAR, a car that we sponsored, and it's our first NASCAR ever. It's kind of unexpected, but as we talked about, gut health is having a moment, and no matter who you are, where you are, you're talking about gut health. And both ourselves and the driver, Josh Balicki, we're really excited to see him perform. So I'm sure by the time this podcast launches, he'll have hopefully won. But we have that NASCAR. So NASCAR is taking over for the last couple of years in the city of Chicago, and they run the whole race course there around the city, which is, where we're based, even though we're national. So really looking forward to, getting a hometown win for Lifeway with Josh. But he's already won. The fact that he's got, and his car is beautiful. There's like Lifeway bottles and, Kefir, and it's like a pink car, which is really unique. Most of the cars are blue or red. So he's going to really like stand out in a really great way. And I'm really excited for his competition in NASCAR to take place. And he's going to be doing all this great social media and like running to Walmart to buy product and like driving and, drinking the Lifeway Kefir on the highway and like bringing it into the coolers. And so I am so excited to see it all kind of come together. And it is another one of those iconic moments for the brand. Something my dad always said, oh, we should sponsor NASCAR, but like we were so tiny and we didn't have distribution. No one knew us. Like, you could have dreams and aspirations, but like realizing some of my dad's dreams and having them come together and is really exciting for me.
You both know how to manifest.
Yes, 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 yes. And we have a great whole summer planned in the Hamptons. I'll actually be there for the whole month and doing events and activations and like working with our influencers and content creators and media, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be a really busy summer, but I hope that there will be like moments of fun and downtime as well. But I am really looking forward to being out there in community on the East Coast and like try to spread all that love all around. All the good bugs.
And I have a final question. So the podcast is called Wonder. What does wonder mean to you?
Ooh, wonder is like a curiosity, the ability to peel something back and go a little bit deeper, to following your gut. I think wonder starts with a little wink, a little message, and like being in tune, being mindful. To be wondering about something or curious means that you also have to have that mindfulness, that you're like listening to your wonder, you're listening to your questions, your curiosity. So I think that's something that is intriguing, and probably also why I have a love for books and reading, and just like trying to, if I had any superpower, it would be to try to get all the messages of every book like just through osmosis in my head. Like I wish I could like walk through a bookstore and like collect all the stories like and know them, but I unfortunately can't read everything that's ever been written, but that would be so cool.
Well, Julie, thank you so much. You are just such an inspiration. You've built something
you.
that's not just, you're so successful, but there's also a lot of purpose behind it. You have a lot of courage, a voice. I can just tell just how you're dealing with your people, that you really deeply care about them, and purpose is felt in everything you do. I read that, when you were on stage at the Oscars, when Lady Gaga was getting her award, like I could just feel your presence there when you were describing it. So I thank you so much. And to all our listeners, check out Julie's book, the Kefir Cookbook. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun book. It's not just a cookbook. There are nice stories of like growing up and like memories, entrepreneurial stories. Like each recipe has like maybe 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs of a little snippet of a story. So it's a quick, fun little book, and the recipes are great. And I really it's so cool because it's inspired a whole new generation of chefs to like learn about the versatility of kefir. It's actually right here. I have it right here in the back. It's right there. And it's so cool. Yeah, it was really fun writing it. And I have a blurb from Deepak Chopra and like, just all these great people and stories in here. So I love it. I'm proud of it. It was published by HarperCollins, and thankfully it came out before the pandemic. I was able to have like a really fun book tour and take it around. So yeah, check it out. Hopefully volume 2 will be out at some point.
Awesome. And how can we follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm at Julie Smolyansky, Smolyansky, and then at Lifeway Kefir, Lifewaykefir. And we're on TikTok too.
Awesome. So follow Julie so you can see how she handles business, wellness, how impact can really go hand in hand. So until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your sense of wonder alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.